Hey, listen, can I say something weird? I mean, maybe you don't think it's weird, but indulge me. You know, for the third time in my life, I'm doing a review of a Cea Serin album. Now, you might think, why is that weird? I mean, you do reviews for so many bands and they have more than one album out, so why is this weird? Indulge me. And on top of that, there's something I said about 11 years ago in a review that kind of caught up with me. You want to know what? Stick around, I'll tell you.
I'm Robert Soeterboek. You're watching LiveProg.
Hey, welcome to
LiveProg.
I am Marcel, and yeah, I'm doing a third review and a second video review on Cea Serin, an American band. This is not a band that rushes out their music, that releases like an album every year. Far from it. The World Outside, the album I have in this review for you guys, is actually their third album, which was released now. And let me tell you then, the debut album was released in 2004, 21 years ago. Now, you can imagine, it's logical, that somewhere in the middle, they released a second album. To that second album, and what I mentioned, I'll get to that in a minute. Now, if you are not familiar with Cea Serin, I can imagine that. I mean, like I said, you know, it's been 11 years since their last album. I will say that every album they put out is an absolute gem. But a little bit of background history of the band, and I really mean a little bit because, unfortunately, there is not a lot of information available, but Cea Serin was already started back in 1997. So that's nearly 30 years since they started. They got the third album out. Once every 10 years they do an album, something like that. The band was started by Jay Lam and guitar player Keith Warman. Where Memories Combine was their first album, their debut album. That was the first time I heard of this band. I reviewed that album. That was back when I was writing reviews. In 2014 they released The Vibrant Sound of Bliss and Decay, which I did a review of on LiveProg. I'll put a link in the description because there's a reason why I'm making mention of that particular review. On that album, drummer Rory Fasciane joins the band. So then there are three guys doing this. And now in 2025 they have The World Outside, which is the same lineup minus Keith Warman. So it's a duo again, Jay Lam and Rory Fasciane. Honestly, whatever happened in between, I don't know. But that might be a topic for an interview. So I mentioned that review that I did 11 years ago a couple of times in 2014. And why? What is that bit that caught up with me? Well, let's go back to that review. Let's go back 11 years in time to this point. In this video I have another album. That is one of my most anticipated releases of, well, of a long time. I mean, I heard about this album a couple of months, but basically I've been waiting for this album about 10 years. True words, definitely, but that's not the part I mean. I mean this part. Now, an interesting factoid about this album that I thought, okay, wow. Because they say in the liner notes on the album that basically this album was to gap the space between their first album and a new album that is still to come. And I thought, oh, okay, so this is an in-between album, huh? Really? An in-between album? This good? If this is the in-between album, I want to hear what they come up with next. Like I said, this may sound strange. I mentioned it at the beginning. I find it a bit weird that I'm doing a review of Cea Serin for the third time. But then again, it's been 11 years since their last album, so I kind of forgot all about it until Generation Prog label owner Michael Shatter dropped the news to me that there was a new Cea Serin album coming. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. At that point, I realized that I mentioned in that review 11 years ago that there was an album somewhere coming. That is this album. I actually have it in my hands now. So that is something I never expected. I said it, but at that time I was like, I'm saying it and we'll see whenever it comes, and then I forgot about it. Here it is. And now the question is, and I will tell you, I pretty much worn out this copy. I mean, the outside is still good, but you see the disc, you see the wear and tear, because I played this album so many times. So I was so impressed with The Vibrant Sound of Bliss and Decay. Does The World Outside surpass my expectations of that second album? Well, I'm not going to keep you in suspense. Yes, it does. Absolutely. It does entirely. Now, my review of The Vibrant Sound of Bliss and Decay was over 18 minutes. I don't want to top that, so I'm going to just keep it brief as possible, which is a challenge because there's so much to say about this album. But I really think this album topped their previous two albums. I also believe that this is probably one of the best prog metal releases in 2025. This is an album really to check out. An interesting thing about this album, I mean, as prog fans, we love epics, right? I mean, if we see an album and it has a 10-minute song on it, a 20-minute song on it, we're like, yeah, that's good, that's great. Yeah, how about an album, and let's forget about Transatlantic, all right? Let's forget about them. Here we have an album that has 6 songs on it, and there is not a single song below the 10-minute mark. Every song is between 10 and a little over 13 minutes. So, yeah. Epics all the way around. Now, if you are familiar with Cea Serin, if you have heard their previous work, you kind of know what to expect. Only more of it, better, greater, whatever. If you're not familiar with Cea Serin, you are in for a wild ride. The album, the songs, the writing, the compositions, everything, the arrangements is really fantastic in here. The songs range between calm, melodic prog, and yeah, I would almost say death metal. Don't worry, it's not that bad, but yeah, they have, well, let's give you an idea with the opening track. That's a good one. The opening track pretty much gives you an idea what you can expect of the band, Where None Shall Pass. It has a very beautiful, calm, melodic, cinematic intro, and then at a certain point it dives really full into the whole prog metal thing. Awesome drums. The song has both clean and Cookie Monster vocals. And yes, I am bringing back Cookie Monster vocals. I used to say that years ago. I always liked that. I could say grunts and growls, but I like Cookie Monster vocals a lot better, so I'm bringing it back. Now, the way that Jay Lamb uses both the clean vocals and the Cookie Monster vocals, that is what makes this song so interesting. The dynamics between the calmer and the raging parts is really beautiful, and the music in it and the guitar solos in it, and wow, if that is what you like, you are set for the next 17 minutes, because that is absolutely awesome. But at the same time, there is also a song on the album, All the Light That Shines. That is the longest song, nearly 14 minutes, and that is a much calmer song. It has mainly clean vocals. There may be a little bit of a hint of a Cookie Monster vocal in it, but overall it's mainly clean vocals. It has finger-licking guitar solos in it. To me, this is definitely one of the most beautiful songs on the album. There's another interesting song when we're talking about that and about the reasons why this album is so good. And like I said, I'm only going to mention a couple of things. Only the Dark Response. Again, when you listen to that song, there are a lot of solos in it, but, and here's the thing, it has guitar solos in it, it has bass solos in it, it has piano solos in it, but here we also find violin solos. We find harp solos in here. That is something you might not expect, but it works. The way that is all done, it is really an amazing song. That is another standout song for me. You know, that's just 3 of the 6 songs. We're just half of the album, and I briefly covered them because, like I said, there's so much more to say about this album, but I don't want to go into it too much. This is something you really have to experience yourself. Now, what I mentioned at the beginning is that, Cea Serin is pretty much a duo. Jay Lamb doing the vocals, doing the guitars, bass, keyboards, and Rory Fasciani doing drums and percussion. But like I said, there are all these solos on the album. There are a lot of guest musicians. And I will say that these guest musicians are the icing on the cake. And there is so much icing on this cake that your dentist will probably be buying his 3rd, 2nd house when you're listening to this album. I'm going to do name dropping. I really do, because that is I would almost say important. The guitar solos are done by Andy Gillian, João Miguel, Steve Blaze, Vic Lecar, Manuel Acevedo, and Danny Hayes. Then we have violin by Koen Struiken. Hey, that almost sounds like Dutch name, but it's interesting. A harp by Cecilia Cuccolini. And we also have some guest vocals on the track The Rose on the Run by Steffi Canelli. So that's quite a list. I really hope I got everyone. But you get the picture. This is a grand album. This is really... It is so filled with these amazing musicians, with this amazing music. The songs are so fantastic. I mean, from the start, I got a digital promo first. I've been listening to that so many times. Then Generation Prog Records was kind enough to send me a copy of the CD. I've been listening to the CD a lot. It is so amazing. These people have done such an amazing job in creating this beautiful album. Oh, and I'm forgetting one. I didn't have a complete name, but the album was mixed and mastered by Tom McLean. You might know him from a band called Haken. There is so much more to tell about this album, but I don't want to make this video longer than I need to, because I really think you should experience it yourself. And the good thing is, you can go to Bandcamp, you can listen to this album, and the added bonus is when you're listening to it, you can immediately order your copy, because I think you will want to order it because this is such an amazing album. So yeah, go to Bandcamp. There's a link in the description below. And also check out the Cea Serin YouTube channel, because on that YouTube channel there are not only 6 videos of each of the songs, but there are also visual diaries, and there's a lot of background information about this album, about Jay Lamb, about Cea Serin. You also find videos of the older albums, so that is definitely worth checking out. In closing, what makes The World Outside such an amazing album is the fact that it is varied and complex enough that you will hear something new or different each time you listen to that album. Thank you for watching, enjoy the music, I'll be back next Tuesday.